What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 112. And today we are going to have State of the Bigs returning from a hiatus in the offseason. Our commissioner, my best friend, and my roommate, Ben Nisman. Benny, it is such a pleasure to have you back on the show, my friend. It is such a pleasure to talk about State of the Bigs. How are you feeling, my friend?
Great, Joe. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for having me back, and it's great to be back. Obviously, I'm as excited as you are to start this season, and we got a draft on Sunday. A lot to bring up, a lot of breakdown. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, let's dive headfirst into this thing. First things first, welcome back to the members that have returned. Welcome to the new member. Let's talk about that right now. So we have three members that have changed from last season. Let's talk about it.
Well, very, very fortunately, or maybe for some managers that are trying to get further closer to the playoffs, unfortunately, but we got two returning champions returning to the league. One being Jason Ferraro, two-time champion, the first back-to-back champion, 2007, 2008, and Jimmy Dunlap, 2022 champion, 1 year off. He's back too. So right then and there, two really, really formidable managers, fantasy owners, arguably two of the best day-to-day managers we've ever had in the bigs. So something to be excited about. But if you're me, you're you. The other managers, something to be nervous about because these guys are unbelievable. They're right on top of it every single day throughout the day. They hate losing. They hate losing more than they like winning. So I'm looking forward to what they have to bring to the table, which is a great amount.
Yeah, and you know what? This season, we're going to have six former champions in the league. That is an unprecedented number. I don't think that we've ever had that many in the league at one time. So it is stacked top to bottom this year. And that brings us to number 16.
Well, Cody Pyatt, he's new to the scene. He's got a podcast of his own, and we had a really, really good dialogue recently, and he's excited to be here. He's the 16th man. He's the wild card. We have no idea what he can bring to the table. We're just gonna have to wait and see. But he's gonna get he's gonna get thrown into it really quickly. He has Henry Collins, who made the playoffs in his first year last year. That's his first matchup in the long week. So it doesn't get easy right off the bat. He's got me in week two. So we're going to see what he's made of early, and hopefully he's come to play and he really cares to compete throughout the season. He understands that even if things don't work out in week 18, week 19, he knows he's got to play spoiler. He has to grind it out. He knows that the 42 innings is our first commandment. Making them is the most critical thing, most important thing, not to mention checking every single day. He's in central time, so it might be also something like we see him being one of those guys at 3 a.m. our time, like, oh my God, this guy is making ads really late at night. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to see. Honestly, I'm completely ignorant to what he can bring to the table, but that's what's beautiful about the bigs. I had no idea what Henry and Adam were gonna bring. Like these are close friends of mine, like Acostas in 2020 and Brian Lebo in 2020. Like
Mm-hmm.
every single time there's a new member, you have no idea what they're bringing to the table. We've had some disappointments, but the 15 that we have in here, we know they are diehards. We know that they're lifers. We know that they're in love with this. They know that they care just as much as we do. So, like, that's why they're here. That's why they're in it.
Cody, welcome to the Bigs. Welcome to this wonderful league that we've had. And Ben, I think we buried the lead a little bit here. 20th season
Yeah,
of the
that's
Bigs.
right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's weird when you think about it because 2005 drafting with Jason Ferraro and Christopher McCarthy and Steve Okawa, like actually having that draft in, with them at that time, it's something that I vividly remember. I remember in 2010 drafting with my brother-in-law, Michael Sherman, like at his apartment in 2011, drafting with him and my brother. Like I have these memories of drafting with these guys in different years. And yeah, it's absolutely great. 2012, I drafted with Jason Ferraro. Like these different years. Like, I mean, and then 2012 now is a long time ago. It's over a decade ago. So it's just
Yeah.
it is wild when you think about it that this league has stayed strong for this long because I mean, I don't think you or I thought that it would get to this point. Like maybe we thought that we would have this league this long, but where it is right now is in such a great place with the competition, with the amount of passion that we have from the different guys in the league, the text messaging that we get. You know, the fact that the smartphone and the app that really, really actually was something that put us more on the map for us, like because we were able to like be on top of it more. We didn't have to go to a computer every single time. We had to make it proved who was great. You know, it proved who was going to stay on top of this thing, and that's what's beautiful about it, man. Just like the different progressions of this league. Obviously, the podcast that happened in 2019. That it's the Bigs podcast added something to this league. The changes that I've made throughout the years, the trophy in 2016, we started making moves the day of as opposed to the day prior. Like there have been these progressions and they've all
Mhm.
been positive changes. So all these things, it all culminates to something that we are here now. And the fact that it's 20 years, it's extremely special. But what I go back and think about, oh, you know, we've had like issues here, we've had problems with certain managers, but like it's, now we're here, and it's just a beautiful thing, and it's really special the fact that we've gotten to this point, and that everything that we've had in the past has brought us to this point.
Welcome to the 20th season, gentlemen. It is going to be an unprecedented and unbelievable season. I am absolutely certain of it. Going back to Cody again, welcome back. Welcome to the league, my friend. Guys, go check
Absolutely.
out his podcast. It's called Bringing the Heat. He does his podcast with his buddy Will. Great stuff over there. You can really pick his brain and learn exactly how he's thinking for this season just by listening to that podcast. He also has a mock draft up there that you can go ahead and
All
watch.
right.
I know some of our members have already gone ahead and watched some of it. So Cody, you don't have many secrets around here.
Mm.
We're already scouting you, my friend.
Oh,
It brings me to the second order of business, Benjamin. We had a change in one of the rules this year. We are going to be moving the number of moves per week down. Talk to us about
yeah.
it.
This is a really tough decision. Not it wasn't difficult to decide that we need to bring them down. It was something that we were consistently talking about through 2023 season. Like, why are there so many ads? Well, when it came down to it, I could tell, like, even myself, who was in the grind list, like, I felt like I was running out of ads late in 2023. Like in week 22, in the playoffs, and there were times where I was like, oh, I wish there was a 13th ad. But that's also because of bad decisions made through the week. And if I
Mm-hmm.
didn't waste an ad here, then I would have it later. I am concerned that the long week in the week one after All Star week, there's a 10-day week, I believe, or
Mm-hmm.
even 11. Week 22, week 23, the quarters, week 24, the semis, week 25, finals. Yes, like these are the times where you feel like you need more ads, but I feel like this is something that has been necessary. Like the adjustment has to be made. And there's just too many weeks during the season where I'm wondering, like, I can even make ads to plan for next week, and I still have ads left over. Like, why are
Mm-hmm.
we doing this? We have probably arguably half the league now that would be maxing out to 12 ads, right? You, myself, Jason Ashby, Ryan Lebo, at least one Haber, Jason Ferraro, Jimmy Dunlap, and either the other Haber or Frank Bucco. That's half the league already.
And
So
that's
when we
before
get
we
it,
even know what Cody's going to do. He's the
correct.
wild card here. He could be another
Correct.
one that's maxing out
Absolutely.
every week.
Yes. Yes, you're right. But like we know that Ari doesn't, we know that Sherman doesn't, we know that Adam Lowenstein doesn't, we know that Bobby doesn't, we
Bobby,
know
yeah.
that for the most part Henry wouldn't. So like I feel like we're the ones that should have to adjust, the more aggressive managers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would do 11, But I almost feel like if we do 11 and then we were like, well, that's still too many. So like I'd rather go down further and then realize like maybe we have to move back up than having to drop them again. So
Sure.
let's go to that. The only other change that I would make in the future, if we feel like it's still too many during the season, is go to 9. And then in August 1st, when baseball adds the extra man, so will we. We'll have a 27th man on the roster. We'll make it a bench spot. It doesn't have to be a specific position. It could be anything. It could be a hitter, a pitcher. It's just another bench spot, an eighth bench spot, and 27
Mhm.
man. So that would be something to target for later. But like, let's see how this goes with 10 for the 20th season. Nice round number 10. I think this is something that will be beneficial. I think the fact that there have been times where like you can afford to make a mistake with 12 ads, right? Like you can make that ad for guys on Monday to fill up the lineup. They go 0 for 4, doesn't work, you drop them the next day, right? Now you make an ad, you kind of feel a little bit more committed to it. You might have to do, and you might have to hold that guy for the entire week, right? There's going to be a lot more emphasis on preparation. Like using those ads after the bell on Sunday to set up for the week after so that your first couple of ads are not made on Monday, right? Like Monday should already be taken care of because you dealt with it on Sunday. So these kinds of
Mhm.
things, just like a random Wednesday making a move for a hitter, he goes 0 for 4, you can afford that mistake with 12 ads. You can't really with 10. So therefore, you might be apprehensive about using an ad there. Like all your ads are going to be very, very like very, very thought out, and I think that's really going to be beneficial for a lot of reasons. And I think it's going to show the skill of the manager more. Like I think there's even like, oh, okay, like he's so careful about his decisions that he was able to like manipulate a win with those ads. Not to mention the fact that there was 12 for everybody for the guys that were maxing out. Then like there was less like free agents, like there was a lot more guys on waivers. You could kind of like
Mhm.
churn them out, right? So now I think maybe 10 like more free agency options throughout the week. Like you'll just see like, oh, there's a lot of guys out there because no one wants to use an ad here or there. But yes, like more people will probably get closer to that number of 10. Sure. Not necessarily though. So like I just think that the fact that we're going to be more reluctant to use them and then have those ads for Sunday, set them up for Monday, or just in general, like save them for the weekend. Like that's when it's really important, right? Like
Mhm.
making sure that you have your pitchers that you like on Saturday, on Sunday, especially. Like whatever bullpens to try to win relief appearances, or whatever starting pitchers to try to win innings or wins or strikeouts, right? So I think in general, this is going to be a very, very positive change, but we got to put it into practice and see what happens.
I love it. I honestly do. I think it's a perfect number. I think it's exactly where it should sit. And yes, it's directly reactive to one of the things that was I don't want to use the word troubling, but it was one of those things that we're certainly highlighting last year of how many guys were maxing out and how often it was happening. And yeah, I think it's a great move as we get so we want to fly as close to the sun as humanly possible, but not burn up. And that's
Right.
kind of where we're threading this needle right now.
Yeah. You were one of the people that I was kind of concerned about that you felt like it's not really necessary to change it, but and it's because you've been in the playoffs so many years in a row that you've actually experienced having to have to make those ads. So I thought that maybe you were one of those people that might be kind of apprehensive about making that kind of change because you've needed those 12 ads down the stretch and through the
Mhm.
playoffs.
But there again, I've had to adjust every single time that a change has been made in the last 10
Yes.
years, whether it
Yeah.
was the moves being done the day before to the day of, whether it was 21 ads to 14 to 13 to
Yep.
12, and now here
Inning
we are at
minimum.
10. Inning minimum going all over the place as well. Yeah.
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 There's been a lot of changes in the last 10 years, and the
You're
one
right.
constant remains I adjust.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that'll be like you're kind of up for the challenge,
Of
right? Like
course.
whatever changes are made, like you keep changing a game, like I'll keep trying to win the game.
Absolutely. The one thing you brought up that I think we should hit on, and it's something that I think we should explain for Cody, who is the new member here, the trade deadline midweek. It's a really
Yes.
important rule when it comes
Yes.
to negotiating trades, and it's something that I think we should talk about alongside how it's going to affect week 1 and week, I believe it's 15 is the long
Okay.
week.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
first, to explain the rule.
Right. So the rule as it stands is that if a trade is made before Tuesday, last pitch thrown, then I will put that trade through immediately or the next day, whatever it is, right? Like if you make a trade on Monday before the game start, I put it through right away, right? Same thing with Tuesday beforehand, like before the game start, I'll put it through right then and there. Or Tuesday, for last pitch, I'll put it through the next day. That's the deadline. If a trade is made after the last pitch is thrown on Tuesday or on Wednesday, Thursday, whatever it is throughout the week, it goes through the following Monday for the next matchup. So that's how we have it. That's how we've had it since 2021.
Yep.
Yeah, 2021.
Yeah. So that being said, let's talk about week 1 because it is the first thing we're going to be up against here immediately following the draft. And any trades that are made prior to opening day will go through for opening day. But are we doing final pitch on opening day?
Final pitch on opening day, I will put it through the on Friday. But
Okay.
if the last pitch is thrown on opening day and then a trade is made, then I'm putting it through the next matchup. It's a 13-day matchup technically with those two games in Korea with the Padres and Dodgers,
Mhm.
and it would be 3 days. That's 28%. Where Tuesday it's around like 31% of the week, I believe. So we're trying to get as close to that as we can. So yes, the deadline for week 1 for the first week's matchup, that is opening day.
Full opening day the
Full
28th,
opening.
not the 20th during the Korean series.
Correct.
Okay. The other implementation of a change actually comes to us from Frank Bucco as we're talking about teams on the bye in the playoffs.
Yes.
What did you do there, Benjamin?
I've decided to lock the two bye teams for the quarterfinal matchup until Sunday. On Sunday, they should have the right to set up their team for Monday. It's an advantage already to have the bye and to be able to set your team. To also be able to set your team throughout the week, not to mention potentially blocking four teams in a playoff matchup. It's the same reason like we lock the teams that don't make the playoffs 7 through 16, right? Because they're not playing for a championship and we don't want that affecting. Now, I will say that the first and second place, they are still playing for a championship, but not in that particular week. They're not competing. So I believe that those free agents should be for those four teams, at least through Saturday. On Sunday, they want to have at it. They want to grab guys that maybe would hurt those quarterfinal matchups. Sure. But I think those four teams can be prepared for it and they can set up accordingly and they can have those pitchers ready. And if they really feel like they need to fight you or me or Mike Haber or whoever it is that's in that top two spot. You notice I use those three teams, but um,
Mm-hmm.
that will be the time, like go for it and try to beat them out at 3 a.m. on Sunday, and if you can't, you can't, and that's the repercussions for doing it. So it's a blessing, but it's also kind of a curse to be first or second, but you're still going for that bye. Like no one would not want it for that reason. It's
Of
such a
course.
huge advantage, but it's it's an extraordinary advantage. And when you look at baseball now, having the bye it isn't always the greatest advantage. We've kind of seen like through these last couple of years that like those bye teams, like they're sometimes they're cold, like sometimes they're just not as locked in because those other teams are just like they're playing every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So it is an advantage. I don't want it to be such an extreme advantage that it's almost like overwhelming. And the fact that I can't even remember the last time that at least one bye team wasn't in the final. that says something, right? Like we always have at least one bye team that was a first or second that ends up in the final. You'd have to go back quite a long time, and we've only like thought of like 3 or 4 occasions where that's actually happened. Like most of the time, at least first or second place is in the final. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying like there might be a correlation to the fact that they're able to make ads throughout the entire week, versus now they can make them on Sunday and set up their team. They have 10 ads on Sunday to use, which is an incredible amount of ads to use for one day. They probably won't be able to. That would probably mean they'd have to disassemble a good amount of their team, but they'll be able to do something.
They'll have all 10 moves to use on a Sunday if they so desire to dismantle their team and go for something. I don't know what
Right.
you'd do with 10 moves, but that's ridiculous.
Right.
You brought up the last time there wasn't a 1 or a 2 seed in the finals. If we're counting 2020, it was me versus Frank as the 6 and the 8 seed. But
yeah, but no one had a bye. No one had a bye that year, so it's
right.
not the greatest example.
All right, well, then we go all the way back to 2010 when Alexander Ang, the 4 seed, took on Matthew Brain, the 3
Yeah,
seed.
wow, that's the
And
last time.
you know who they beat?
2010.
Yeah,
Let me think.
semifinals.
I was one of them.
Yes, you
I
were.
think
You lost.
Matt Brain knocked me out in the semis in
Yep,
2010. And the other team, hmm, Mike
the
Haber,
number one team. The number one team. It was not Mike Haber.
2010.
Yeah,
I think I know that's a year that you didn't make it.
I most certainly
Really?
did. I
Oh
was the number one
wow.
seed that year. Yeah,
Oh
I did not
wow.
make 2009.
Got it. I thought 2010 was the last time you didn't make it. It was 2009. Oh my
No,
God.
2013 was the last time I didn't make it.
Oh, right. That's the one. Like
That's the
there's
one.
like that break in the year. Oh my God.
Yeah,
So you and I were in the semis in 2010. How funny.
that is correct. Before we get into any more of the record book, there is one final piece of business to talk about, and that is, in fact, the draft. That, of course, is this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You guys in the middle figure it out. Uh, Ordinarily, the last few years, we have done a draft day Zoom meeting where everybody gets together. We all draft together. We have ha-has and all that fun stuff. We're not doing that this year, and I completely understand why. Do you want to explain?
Absolutely. I feel like of all the things that go down with the podcast, um, the most sacred part of our league is the draft. Now, when we have these weekly breakdowns, you can kind of get a feel for your own team and be like, oh, maybe I'm missing out in power because like I lost in these guys. You learn something, right, from watching our podcast, right? When you guys talk about your rankings for each position, you watch that, you learn something from it. That's okay. It's not ideal, but it's something, right?
Mhm.
Um, you find out from your weekly matchup, man, like I keep getting killed in innings I keep getting killed in losses. I keep making the same mistakes. And we're telling you this week to week. You learn something. It kind of does change the authenticity, but it's not the same as a draft. And when we have a draft and we have an open dialogue going on through the draft, our minds are changing. And whether we're listening or not, we're still hearing the information and we're taking it in a certain way. And I do think it does sway the draft in a certain way. And I think out of all the things that we have, I think the draft is one that could be sacred and should stay sacred. Now, my example that I've given to a couple of people is that if we took all 16 of us and we isolated each one of us, right, in a room, and then we had the draft, right, and it comes out a certain way, then we rewind time and we put a couple of people in a room together, even if it's like 2 or 3 people in one room and then everybody else is isolated. And those 2, 3 people are talking throughout the draft. Would the draft be exactly the same? The answer is no. Like there would be some change because a discussion is being had. There's some kind of dialogue that's open that's going on. when Jay Ferraro and I drafted together, I believe in 2012, there might have been like another year in like 2008 or 2009, or I think it was I think it was 2009 where I drafted with Dan Drobness. Um, there was just silence throughout the entire draft. Like we didn't say anything to each other just because like we're not trying to give anything away, right? It's very hard to do it, but it's certainly possible. You can't do that in a Zoom when we have like a show. There's got to be discussion. There's gonna be
Right.
dialogue. Like you're running a show. You're being a host. Like you got to talk about something. But it's like when you're saying like, well, he doesn't have a starting pitcher yet. Is he gonna do that or is he gonna do this? It's already putting the ideas in their head and manipulating the draft in some way. We saw it in 2021 with that guy Josh. We got it in 2020. That was the first time we did it when you guys all decided to work together to take all the closers so that I couldn't have any. I wasn't that pissed at the time, but you can argue that that wouldn't be happening if there wasn't a Zoom meeting. That I would have gotten some closers because you guys were all having an open discussion about it. It's been 4 years of doing it. It was nice, and I feel like last year it was very appropriate when we had, we lost, Chris Levy, we were wishing him the best, and he's making great progress, and I'm excited to have him back next year. But like, I felt like it was necessary to like bring that to the table and have that discussion, and wish him the best at the time, and that was part of the reason why I felt it necessary. Not to mention Henry and Adam, friends of ours being in the league for the first time. That was another reason, like bring them in. They're going to be involved also. Like for those reasons, it was appropriate. But at the same time, after like going through it, like I knew that this was not the most appropriate way to have a draft. So I enjoyed it. I'm glad that we have it on video forever, and it's something that we can always go back to and enjoy. But I think going forward, the draft should stay sacred.
That's fine. So what we're going to do instead, when the draft is over, I'll be opening up a Zoom meeting and everybody can come in and talk and we can record it and have a show just the same as we always have, but we're talking about what's already happened rather than what's actively happening at the
Happening.
time. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
understand completely where you're coming from.
Right. And also, we'll still do those shows like where we break down each round. You
Sure.
and I had one, and Jason and Mike had the other, and we'll still do that. It's just
Hell
like
yeah.
you said, while it's happening, is so different than after the fact, or even
Yeah.
beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to open anything up beforehand because,
Right.
like we've talked about, any discussion is going to
Right.
influence
One
what
hundred
you do
percent.
immediately following. So,
Absolutely.
rather than
Absolutely.
that, we'll
Thank you for
just open
saying
it
that.
up after. We'll just open it up after everything is done. I'll probably open it up in the 24th round, 25th round, so that everybody can finish up their day. By that point, it won't have too much influence, and we'll just do a review and talk. And listen, that's when trade season will be wide open. Frank Bucco is going to be itching for a deal. So anything and everything can happen in that particular room after the draft. You don't want to join, you don't have to. There's no pressure, there's no expectation. We'd just like to have you and talk for a little bit. Benji, I think that is all of the business we needed to conduct as far as the league is concerned, unless there's something I'm missing.
No, I think we've covered basically all of it. Anything else we could definitely talk about on the 17th after the draft is over.
All right. Well, that means that it's time to tell these guys about the record book. I put
Right.
so much work into this over the last 2 years. It is finally here. I'm going to be dropping the link to it in the league chat so that anybody and everybody can go ahead and check it out anytime you want. If you think you might have broken a record, go check it out before you ask me because I bet you the number's higher than you think it is.
Yeah,
Let
I'm looking forward to you talking about it because it's just like throwing some examples of like certain things that like we wouldn't necessarily know. But you guys should know that when Joe says that he's put a lot of work into it, I think he's actually under like stating it. Like there was a lot of time spent focus and just concentrate through during work, like sitting here in the table in the living room, like just so much time was spent going through this, and I hope everyone appreciates it because like when you go through it and you realize like how specific these records are, really is amazing. And over 19 years you get a ton of intel So
Yeah,
I'm really, really looking forward to you breaking these things down. And actually, as the season goes, you'll say, hey, this record was actually a 1 week record that stood for 12 years and it finally was broken. And I'm
exactly.
guaranteeing that there will be more records made this year.
No doubt. No doubt. So the first thing I'll say is that this particular workbook I have on Google Docs, it's 5 pages long. Each of them has its own portion of the record book. So the first thing we have when you open up the record book, you're going to see the championship journeys, and that will tell you who the winner was, who the runner-up was, what the score was, uh, what seed they were. And if you go to the right, you'll see the semifinal matchups. And to the right of that is going to be the quarterfinal matchups. And for 2020, yes, I even have the the other 2 first round matchups added as well, along with division winners. At the bottom, we see a list of multi-time champions, of which there are 4: you, me, Mike, and Jay. There are the most finals appearances, of which I have counted 4 people who have made multiple finals appearances. You, me, Mike, Jay, and then there's one more. Can you name the 5th one?
Of a guy that's been in multiple finals,
Multiple finals.
Ari Nisman.
That's correct. He has 0 for 2 in his 2 finals appearances.
Yeah.
I also have written down here the most playoff appearances, the most playoff matchup wins, along with a win-loss record. And that's one thing that I do want to stop right here and talk about, because I have the most matchup wins with 17. I'm 17-9. Ben, you have the second most with 13. You're 13-8. Jay Ferraro is 6-2 as the next best record, but he does not have the most wins. The next most wins goes to Mike Haber with 7, but he has a losing record in the playoffs at 7
What
and
is it?
11.
7 and
7 and
11
11.
playoffs.
And that was 5 and 11 before last year. He had to
Yeah.
win
Mm-hmm.
2 matchups to
2.
get
Yeah.
to 7 and 11.
Yeah.
So there are a few others who have made the playoffs have more than 2 playoff wins. Barry Nisman makes that list. Donato Santangelo, Ari, Dan Drobnis, and Mike Sherman all make that list of multiple playoff wins. The next page is a season total of hitting per category. So for the runs category, the record for the season is 956 runs in a season by a team. And that was set in our first year in 2006.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
2005 was our first year, but 2006 is the first one where Yahoo continued to kept
Yahoo still has the records.
has the
Yeah. So
records, right?
I still have all of that. But yeah, 2006, Mark Ferraro scored 956 runs. And Ben, you had the best record all time in the runs category at 21-4 that year.
Championship year.
Yeah. I also have the fewest per category. So Quinn Hushin has the fewest runs scored in a season of 554, set in 2014. And you know who has the worst record in that category? All time?
Ever
Ever.
in that category.
Right.
Is it someone still
120.
is it still it's someone that's still in the league?
Oh yeah.
Uh was it in the last 10 years that it was set?
It was set in 2013.
Wow. It was set in 2013.
Yep. This guy went
Is it
120-1.
is it Ari?
It's not.
Mm. Is it Barry?
It is not. He's not in the league anymore.
Oh, right. 2013. Is it Sherman?
Nope.
Oh, all right. Who is it? Josh? Really? Oh, that was a tough year for you,
That was
2013.
a rough year in 2013. It's the last time I didn't make the playoffs. However, I followed it up the following year by hitting 361 doubles, which is the most all time in a
Wow.
season.
And then won a
Yep.
championship that year too. So
And won my first championship. The most triples in a season is from Barry Nisman and tied last year by Bobby Russo, 49
cool.
for the season. Yeah, and Mike Sherman set the record last year for most stolen bases in a season. First guy to ever break 200. He got 210 last year.
Wow, it's going to be tough to beat, but I guess it's certainly possible with all
Yeah,
the stolen
especially
bases
now
that are
with the
happening. Yeah.
with the new rules. Mike
Yeah.
also set the best record for stolen bases at 21, 1, and 2
What year was that?
this past year.
This past year is the best
Last
ever.
year,
Cool.
it's the best record ever. Yeah. For the record, Ari had the fewest stolen bases last year at 46. Not all time. That goes to Matt Losi in 2022 at 37. But Ari went 120 and 1 in the category. That's the worst all time.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it was not his focus last year.
No. He also struck out the most of anybody in the league ever.
Really? Well,
1,601 times.
That's the record. Last year was set. Wow.
Yep. Here's something fun for you, Benjamin. Do you know who has the best batting average for a season? All year. And what is it?
Is it in the 280s?
It's better than that.
Wow. For a whole season? Is it in the
Whole season.
290s?
Better than that.
It's over 300? The guy batted over 300 for an entire season. What year was it?
2007.
Is it Jay Ferraro?
It is Jay Ferraro, a 303 batting average for an entire year. That is legendary.
It was a great team.
It's legendary. You know who has the worst batting average for a season? That guy. 225 in 2022.
22. Semifinal team.
Yep. And worst on base percentage ever either.
Really? That same year I have the worst on base percentage of all time? Wow, and that's
301.
always a focus of mine to like have that. The fact that I had the lowest batting average ever and the lowest on base percentage ever and still made it to the semifinals and one stat away from getting to the finals that year, it came down to Sunday. That goes to show that you're not necessarily playing the stats, like you're playing against your opponent. Like that, all you got to do is beat your opponent, and that's all that matters, like not the actual numbers themselves.
Right. The third page is the season totals for the pitching categories. The very interesting one is innings pitched. The last 2 years have been dominated by Jason Ashby. Before that, it is all this guy.
Really? Yeah. That makes sense.
2014, I set the record at 2,214 innings. I don't think it'll ever be broken because of the way we play now and the few amount of ads we have.
Yeah, no, it's impossible because we had unlimited ads. I'm pretty positive that you probably broke Jay Ferraro's record with that record. Like he had probably set it at a certain point and then you broke it.
Nope. Matthew Brain, 2,166 and 2/3 in 2010 was the record prior to that.
Okay.
Yep. Now, Jay did have a 2,146 inning record back in 2007, but it was obviously broken a couple of years later.
Are those part of the record also? Like, have you?
They're all listed out. Every year is listed out as who had the most for a year.
That's awesome. That's great.
So you compare and contrast all of the.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, this
and
like
see
I
how
said,
things
this
have changed.
Pardon the French, but this is a shit ton of information. The fact that you know who broke who broke who's, like that's how much we got there in the record book. Amazing, Joe. Amazing work.
Yep. Thank you, man. When we move over to the wins category, Matthew Brain also set the record for that at 146. It still stands to this day at 2010 as the most wins on a season, 146. The top number is usually in the 120s. So I don't think that this is something that's going to be broken either, unless somebody just like somehow has 2 20-game winners on their team.
Yeah.
And just finds a way to get there. The last 2 years, again, dominated by Jason Ashby, 127 and 124 wins, respectively. Prior to that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight years, it was me.
Makes sense. With all the innings that you pitch, that makes complete sense.
Yeah. Yeah. What else? Complete games we have done away with. Shutouts we have done away with, but they are here in the record book. You can take a look at all of that stuff. It's just a shame that like the final 3 years of the shutout category, 4 guys didn't get any all year, 4 guys didn't get any all year, and 3 guys didn't get any all year. So it's like we're just playing for that.
Yeah.
Saves. Here's something that I think we should all take a moment and recognize that saves is not just a Ben Nisman category. Saves is a Nisman Brothers category. Ari Nisman holds the record both for most saves in a season and best record in that category.
Wow.
196 saves in 2016. And he went 22-1 in the category.
That's why he made the finals, or at least one of the reasons. That was a great team. Heartbreaking that he wasn't able, like the fact that he went to the finals in 2014 and 2016 and he couldn't take one of them home. I know that's probably something that still eats at him, but that's a special record to hold. And I wonder is that like now that this information is out and available, will this potentially affect certain owners to manage a certain way and be like willing to like almost sacrifice certain things happening during their matchup just because they so badly want to take a record? I hope not. Like
I
I
really
hope
hope
that
not.
no, I hope that someone that's not that important for them to have to do it. That it's more that's like if it happens, it's circumstantial. But like I just wonder if like somebody wants that weekly ERA record so badly, or that whip record, or the most saves. Like you never know.
We'll get to those. Those are interesting. We'll talk about those in just a minute. The last thing I want to talk about on season totals, strikeouts. 6 consecutive years it was this guy. I set the record at
For pitching
2,168.
strikeouts.
Correct. Pitching strikeouts, 2,167, set in 2018, and a 24-1 record.
It was what was the record?
24-1.
Wow.
On a championship 2018 team.
Yeah, and that was a year where you weren't one of the buys. You played all 25 and there wasn't a tie in that category in any of the weeks.
Nope. ERA title. Do you know who holds that for a season?
Ooh. What year was it?
Ooh, good question. That would be 2014.
Is it you?
It is not. In fact, if you name this guy, I will absolutely just give up altogether because this was his only season.
Oh, wow.
He was a one and done.
John LeBate?
Nope. His name is Adam Costa. It was I brought the dude in, and he just didn't really grasp how we were playing the game and didn't really keep up with his team, but he somehow threw to a 3.23 ERA across the season. That's the best ever.
Nuts.
We have a 3.25 by somebody named Saved by the Bell in 2018.
Oh, that's Chase. That's Chase. We could get the last name on him. That was a friend of Chris Levy's.
Okay. And then a 3.32 looks like the third bet. Oh no, there was a 3.26 by Greg Drobnis in 2013.
That's a championship year. That makes sense.
Yep. The worst ERA for a season comes to us and still stands from 2006. It's a 4.89 across an entire season. Elon Ovadia.
Yep. That makes sense. Elon Ovadia. I think that was a last place team in 2006.
Yep. The best whip in a season done twice. Once by your boy in 2022 and once by Nick Holman in 2018.
2018?
2018.
Wow.
A 1.12 across the entire year.
That's interesting.
Oh. And now to the big ones you guys want to hear about. It's the week-to-week record. Who put up the most in what category week after week? So when it comes to runs, you want to set the runs record in a 7-day period, you got to put up 60.
What?
Michael Sherman,
Yeah.
2006, week 10, 60 runs. It still
Nice.
hasn't been touched.
Awesome.
The closest we've gotten recently, Barry Nisman in 2017, week 11, had 59. And in 2019, week 18, Frank Bucco had 58.
Oh, wow. 1 and 2 short of tying that record. Michael Sherman, still strong, with 60 in 2006.
In a
Awesome.
7-day week, because I also have all of the records for the long weeks.
Cool.
And long weeks used to be different. There used to be a 2-week long week. And then there's the 13-day long week
Yeah,
or
I
the
remember.
10-day long week.
Sure.
Right?
I remember when the finals was 2 weeks for quite
Yes,
a few
sir.
years. The finals were actually 2 weeks.
You want to break the all-time any number of days record for runs scored, you got to put up 82. Week 25 of the 2007 season, Andrew Lentini put up 82 runs
In the finals against Jay and still lost the matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Lentini. What a name. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Jay doesn't have to feel too sad about that because he does hold the all-time record for any amount of days in a week for doubles at 32. And if you just want the 7-day record, you got to put up 24 or more.
Who did that one? Wow.
2014, I was hitting doubles like a madman that year.
And
That
what
was the
about
year
the
I hit.
one? Sorry, continue, please.
Oh, Jay's 32 was in that same matchup as Andrew Lentini's 82 runs scored.
Oh, wow. In that
32
final
doubles.
matchup.
Mm-hmm. You're
Oh,
going
wow.
to
So
see a
they were
lot
just
of that, actually, because
they were just throwing haymakers at each other because I guess that
oh
was a
yeah,
2 week final.
yep. You want the all-time triples record? You got to hit 7 or more. 7.
7 in a week.
7 in a week. Any week. Doesn't matter if it's 10 days, 13 days, or 7 days. 7. Week
7
13 of 2011, Matthew Brain. Home runs, Benjamin. All
home runs in
time,
a week.
all time, any
Sherman.
number of days, Mike Sherman is tied for the record with somebody.
Wow.
And
Someone
not
that's still in the
only,
league.
yes, and not only was it done to the same number, would you believe it's weird enough that it happened in the same week?
No way.
Yeah,
Huh, how funny. Is it Frank Bucco in
it
2019?
is 2019, week 18, 24 home runs for both Frank Bucco and Mike Sherman. Broke the record set literally that same week. Josh Haber, week 19, week 18 of 2019, 23 home runs.
So what year did Mike Sherman set the record?
2019, week 18 is the record,
Wait,
24 home runs.
wait, Mike Sherman. No, but I'm saying like Mike Sherman initially set the record, right?
Oh, the initial record,
Yeah. When was
the
it?
first record was set
Yes,
in
correct.
'06. We had 2006, week 8 and week 12. You and Jay Ferraro both hit 17 home runs.
Okay.
That was the first one. Jump to 18, jump to 19, jump to 20, to 21, to 23, and now we sit at 24.
And Sherman did that in 2019?
Correct.
Wow, I can't believe two guys had the same amount of home runs in the same week to set the
In the
record.
same week. Yeah. And
That's
the
unbelievable.
second most home runs was also hit that week by another team.
What? In
3 teams.
2019?
2019, week 18. I don't know what was in the water other than the juiced ball. But Josh Haber hit 23. Frank
Nice.
Bucco and Mike Sherman both hit 24. Just
Oh, crazy.
absolutely insane. RBI totals. You want to have the RBI total for any number of days? You got to have 94, Ben.
It had to be an 11-day matchup or a long week.
2006, week 25.
Okay, finals. It was me?
It was you, buddy. 93.
In a freaking final. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. You want a 7-day
Against you.
matchup? You want a 7-day matchup?
7-day. Yeah.
57.
It's a lot.
You know who did that one?
What year was it?
It's been done twice. It was done once in 2012 and done once in 2017.
Wow. Huh. That is are either
By
of
the
these people still in
same
the league?
by the same manager who is still in the league today.
2017, and what was the other year? 2012.
12.
What week was it in 2012?
Week 14.
What year was it? What week was it in 2017?
Week 13.
Is it Mike Haber?
Nope.
Wow. 2012. Is it Jay?
Nope.
I know he was in the league those years. Is it me?
You own RBIs, bro. You own the RBI category in a single week. 57 twice and 93 in a final. You own
Yeah,
RBIs.
I mean, I did I make the playoffs all of those years, so I guess that does make sense. I wouldn't think that I had it, but cool.
Yeah. You want to set the 7 days or any day stolen base record? 17. 17 stolen
17 in a
bases in a
week.
week. Yeah, and this was a 7-day week. Week 4 of 2009. Brian Pergament.
2009.
Brian Pergament
Brian
had
Pergament. Wow.
he had Juan Pierre who went off for 10 stolen bases by himself.
It's great.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. The fewest strikeouts in a week is 2.
2 in an entire week.
Mm-hmm. It's 2011 week 20.
Oh, yeah.
We don't talk about that.
That's Mark Ferraro.
Correct.
Or yeah,
Correct.
okay. Yeah.
We don't talk about that. You want to know who has the most strikeouts in a week? This guy.
Really? What year?
76 in week 6 of 2019. 76 in a 7-day week.
Still a great year for you. Semifinals. Yeah.
Yep. Batting average, best batting average for ever. 396. Done week 15 of 2006. It was 55 for 139. That's a 396 batting average by Mark Ferraro. Good luck beating that, guys.
Not happening.
The worst batting average that I can pull the numbers for because I don't have the actual breakdown of the fraction that exists.
Sure.
The one that I do have is a 31 for 172. That's a 180 batting average by Ari, 2008 week 19. But Matthew Brain hit 138 week 5 of 2011. I don't have the fraction for it.
Okay.
But 138 is the worst. And the worst on base percentage, 203 for a week.
Me?
Quinn Hutchin. 203 week 4 of 2014. On the pitching side, the most innings pitched for any time ever, 2009 finals, Matthew Brain, 218 and a third. You want a 7-day matchup? 171 and a third by this guy in the 2014 final.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Yep. Most wins ever in any number of days for the week is 17.
Wow.
A 7-day week is 12.
Okay.
Saves.
Wait, we got to tell me who got them.
Oh, 2 guys whose name I do not have. 2006, week 17, 12 wins for a team named Baloney Turds.
Something tells me that's Steve Okawa, but I'm not sure.
Okay. And 2008, week 12, a team named Took Your Reyes.
Took Your Reyes. What year was that? 2012?
2008.
That's not Jason. Took Your Reyes. It definitely sounds familiar.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. By the way, if you guys know any of these team names, by all means, reach out. I'd love to get this thing completely filled up.
Agreed.
Saves. Most saves in a week, any day, any number of days is this guy over here. No, it's
me.
You.
Wow.
15. 15. Week 15 of 2013, he had 15 saves.
In 2013?
Yeah.
That's interesting because I very much recall 2014 being that year where I just kept on picking a closer after closer after closer. And then
Mm-hmm.
Sherman writes in the message board of the draft, Ben has gone rogue. Right. And like everyone just like thought I left the room, basically. But that was 2014. So it actually surprised me that 2013 is when I set that record. But maybe
Mm-hmm.
that kind of, vitalized that, decision to keep
Maybe.
doing that.
Most strikeouts by a pitcher in a week, any amount of days, is 167, done by Matt Brain. Matt Brain, week 25 of 2010.
The final that he lost. Interesting.
However, the most strikeouts for a 7-day week is this guy, 134 in the final matchup of 2014.
Championship year makes sense. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. The worst ERA
Worst
for a
ERA
for a
for a
7-day week.
7-day week. Someone that was just throwing innings all the time. Is it Jason?
Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm.
When was it set? What year?
2006, week 11.
Whoa. Ugh, 2006. Someone that's in the league still?
No, I don't have the team. I don't. All I have is the team name.
Okay, what is it?
Bay Area Bombers.
Oh, that's Brian Pergament.
Okay.
That's 1,000%. Yeah, type that in right now. That is definitely Brian.
All right. Well,
2005 champ. Yeah.
he holds the dubious distinction of throwing 26 and a third innings, which beat the minimum, to a
Which we
10
had
and a
25.
quarter. 10 and a quarter.
It's awful.
The best ERA is not the 0.99 that Jason Ashby did in 2022 in week 3.
Wow.
It is not the 0.98 that Matt Losey did in week 9
Last
of
year.
2022. It is not
Okay.
even the 0.72 that James McCloskey put up in week
That was
3
last
of
year.
2023. Instead, week 13 of 2015, Ari Nisman over 27 and a third innings through to an 0.66.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I happen to be very favorable toward Matthew Brain. Week 11 of 2011. So the way I have it written out, it's 11-11. 117 across 84 and a third.
It's very
Love that
impressive.
one.
Over that many innings. Yeah, extremely.
Yeah. Who is DJ's Taco Hole?
That might be Carlo Puca, but I just don't know for sure. I'd have to dig through the record that Yahoo has. Maybe they have the name next to it.
Maybe. In week 9 of 2007, he set the worst whip at 2.07. It has since been broken by Ari with a 2.32 in 2008. That's a whip. That's not an ERA. That's a whip of 2 dot.
Damn. And who is the best whip? Did we get that?
Jay Ferraro, 2008, week 16, over 13 innings and 0.46 whip. Want to do a little bit better than that? Brian
That was
Greenspan.
2016?
No, it was week 16 of 2008.
Oh,
He only threw
wow.
13
Okay.
innings.
Oh, okay.
So you
So
want to
we
do a
didn't
little
make the
better than
minimum.
that?
We
Right.
missed
You
the
want to do a
minimum
little.
then.
Yeah. I guess it would have been 25.
Yeah, it was 25.
Yeah. If you want to do a little better than that, 52 innings pitched, 2006 week 12, Brian Greenspan, an 0.69 whip.
Oh my God. Yeah. I remember that
Filthy.
semifinal being very stressful for me to try to get through, Brian.
The final stat, one of our favorites and what makes this league so special, relief appearances. All time, any week, Benjamin, you own this
Yeah.
particular stat.
So it's important to know that this stat was started in 2012.
12.
It was the year that we switched from fielding percentage back to errors as well. And it's one that we didn't also touch up on is errors. I think you have the record
You're
there as
right.
well.
I
But
could skip
but
that.
let's
I could go back to that.
oh yeah, let's go back to it. But let me think. What year did I do it?
2018.
Wow.
Yep.
Did I have more than 20? Oh,
Yes.
obviously. Did I have over 30?
Yes.
Did I have over 35?
Yes.
How many?
43. Week
Oh,
16 of 2018. It was a long week, but you still got 43. Oh, you only want the 7-day record? 26. Also by you the
really?
next year,
Okay, in 2019.
2019.
That makes sense.
That's set the record. That is in fact the record. You wanted errors, my friend. Very, very quickly I can get to
By the
that.
way, I think that 7 day record actually could. That's one that is breakable.
Sure.
That rap record is very breakable.
Sure it is. You just gotta make sure that you're hitting every single day the guys that you're picking up.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. It's going to be harder now
Because
with the 10 ads, by the way. It's definitely going to be a harder thing to do.
26 is almost 4 a day. That's hard to
It
get
is
4
hard.
wraps a day
Yeah,
for the
it
whole
is
week.
possible, but I could see it happening for a
Yeah.
7 day week.
Errors for a single week, the most. Of course, the least is 0, done by everyone who's ever played this game. Right? Like
Yeah, we've done. Yeah, yeah.
some of these records just speak for themselves. Like, oh, what's the least amount
Of
of triples?
course.
0. What's the
Zero, of
least amount of
course,
errors? 0.
of
So the
course.
most errors
In a week.
done twice in a long week. 2019 week 15 and 2021 week 1. Both guys are still in the league. It was 12.
What were the 2 years again?
19 and 21.
Is one of them Bobby?
Yeah, Bobby in 2021, he had a very bad defensive team all year. It was one of the worst. I think it might have been the worst all year that year.
In the thinking of the 2019 team that's still in the league. A team that was
Mhm.
very bad with errors in 2019.
It's actually pretty surprising that this guy set that record in 2019, given what happened that year. Oh no, that was
Is
a different year.
is it
It's a different
Ari?
year. No, it's
Is
Sherman.
it it's Sherman?
It's
Okay.
Sherman. Yeah. I was thinking that was 2016 was his championship year,
Yeah, it
not
was.
2019. Yeah.
No.
But yeah,
That was my
12,
year.
12 errors, 10 errors for a 7-day week, done 3 times. Mike Sherman in 2012, Ari in 2014, and somebody named Macy's Day Paredes in 2015.
Macy's Day Parades. That sounds so familiar. I feel like that's a name that we might be able to. It
Yeah,
almost
we'll be able to
it's
decipher that one.
yeah. That sounds like a Josh Haber team, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure.
Well,
Or
but
Mike
yeah,
Haber. Like it's a Haber name. That's so damn clever that I feel like that's a Haber name.
if it's one of you two guys, let me know. I'll fill it in. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and post this in the group chat, and we can go ahead and have everybody take a look at it. You guys can follow right along with this show as you know that is. But I am thrilled with this, and now that it exists, we get to keep it going forward. So
Yeah,
every week I get to
absolutely.
line up whether or not somebody broke a record,
Yeah,
starting with week 1 this year, which is a long week.
yeah. I think the only thing that might need to be done if you want to go back in time and try to find out who's second best of all those Mark Ferraro stats in 2011 that's set, like you could probably find
Mhm.
out who's the second worst in that because I'm sure he obviously broke some records that happened prior. You have that, but after the fact, from 2012 on, you might find that somebody else had the worst in that. But other than that, I think this is just it's just gold, man. Like it's so unbelievable that you have so much information here for a 7 day week for the all time things that Yahoo doesn't give us, and you took that
Right.
time. So I hope everyone is eternally grateful. I know I am for you putting in all that time for this league. Amazing.
Of course. Benji, let's have another great season, my friend.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, man. It's one of these off seasons for me that went actually pretty damn quickly. Obviously, I talked about how tough that semifinal loss was to Mike. I felt like I was one decision away from tying you in championships with 4, and I felt like it was like in my grasp. And I'm just going to have to accept it and hope that it comes sooner than later. But so proud of Mike for that championship. He jumps onto this list of multi-time champions. And let's put another name on that trophy. Someone that isn't
Hell
a
yeah.
you, a me, a James Dunlap, a Jay Ferraro, a Mike Haber, a Mike Sherman. Like let's see someone else like crash the party. We saw Josh Haber now in 21 and 23 start to like cement himself as one of the better day-to-day managers in the league. We saw an emergence from Henry Collins, not only making the playoffs, but beating you, me, Mike Haber in the same season. And oh, let's not forget the first ever 21-0 win. It was over Ari Nisman. That can't be broken. That's the best you can get on stats. We had 18 nothing Mike Haber over Chris Levy, but never
Mhm.
anything better than 18. You don't do better than 21 nothing. That is a perfect week. And it's amazing. That's never, I mean, it can't be broken. Maybe it's tied somehow. Something tells me it won't happen.
It might
We've
never
got
be.
no, it's so hard, especially with the competition, how intense it is week to week. It's hard to believe. And the other one, probably never going to be broken. It's not exactly a record, but the fact that in 2021, Jimmy Dunlap, Costas Paragas, with the same amount of wins, losses, and ties in the 6 and 7 spot. Sure, maybe we'd find two teams with the same exact record, even though that's insane over 22 weeks to have the same amount of wins, losses, and ties for it to happen for the final playoff spot. I don't see that ever happening again. So many incredible things over the first 19 years of this league. I'm so excited for more. So, without further ado, this thing has been wrapped up since I picked it up back in uh November, December, whatever it was. I
Get
think it's
that
time.
thing opened up and show us the new look to the trophy, because with the 20th season comes a new base because we had filled up all of the space on the
16 spots.
last
Yeah.
base.
Mhm.
Oh, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Look at that double
Nice.
base.
The big sucker. There's Mike Haber's name right over there.
Yep. The first
Right
one
over
on the
there.
new block. Who will join him this year? I think it's going to be me. I'm going to win
Yeah.
again. Make it 5.
Very, very possible, man. Or maybe this is finally the end of your playoff run.
Could
Or
be
how many semifinals in the row now, Joe? 7?
7.
Or is it 6? Yeah.
7 straight to the semis, 10 straight to the playoffs. Yeah.
Amazing.
Going for 11 this year.
Very possible, but
uh,
is it probable with this kind of competition? You got two returning champions coming to the league. I mean, it's going to be very hard to make the playoffs. And just like every single year, there's going to be somebody that's heartbroken at the end. Last year, with 33 over 500, it was Frank. Like the fact that we've always said, like, if you win by one in every week, you're 22 over 500, you're going to the playoffs. This guy went 33 over 500 and couldn't make the playoffs because we had 11 teams over 500 in the playoffs. And the 12th team was Jason, who I believe was only like 2 or 3 under 500
mhm.
last year. So you basically had 12 teams at 500 or better last year, which means there was only 4 teams that were under 500 if you don't count Jason. That goes to show how incredibly competitive this league is and how incredibly competitive this league has become. I assume it's only going to be better now that we've added 2 former champions in the league. Like, there's going to be heartbreak, but I, I think you would agree now that we have like 42 innings that we've been very satisfied with, even 10 ads, like the cream of the crop, the best of the best are making the playoffs, going to the semis, going to the finals, holding the trophy at the end. I think we cannot doubt that at all.
Whoever's going to get this trophy this year is definitely going to earn it. It is the deepest the league has ever been in its 20 years of existence. And I can't wait to get this thing started, man. And it all kicks off on Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You guys in the middle figure it out. Benji, Thanks so much for being here with me, man.
It's a pleasure, man, as always. Love breaking it down with you. This was a critical, important episode. The state of the bigs addressed. It's in the books now, and all we got left is the draft on Sunday, and a whole lot of fun for all of us over the next few months. So I hope everyone is looking forward to it the way you and I are, because we've been licking our chops now for a while, and
Oh yeah.
all of a sudden, like it's here. Like we talk about, like, oh, the draft is only like a month away, and then it's right in front of us.
All of a
So
sudden it's here. Well, it's here, guys. It's really here. 2024 is kicking off on Sunday. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this league. It's been real. It's been fun. And it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you guys next time. We'll see you Sunday.